Hello and welcome to a guide on how to convert your 3D models into Unturned. Here I built this one in the last video. This is the Fallout sniper rifle. And basically we're going to go through the basic setup process on how I do my mods. First things first, we're going to want to get Unity set up. We go through to, let's see, I'm going to go into Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Unturned, and then the Bundles folder, and then Sources, Examples, and then Nelson was nice enough to provide all of these examples for us. We want the gun example. So we're going to transfer that to Unity, select all, import. And a good trick I learned from Zach, create a second folder, call it Assets. And I did that by right-clicking, hit create, and then folder. Then you'll want to create another folder and title this one Bundler. So control, click on game, click on resources, move it into assets. Now let's go back over to our folder. Whoops, that's my textures. I'll need those for later. And then we'll back up one to the tools. The only tool that we need is the bundle tool.cs. And we'll go ahead and move that into our bundles folder. If it'll do it, there we go. So go ahead and break down our little menu here. Sources, bundles, items, guns, Zubeknikov. Okay, so this is called the item prefab. This is called the animations prefab. Do not delete either one of these blue squares, otherwise you will have to start from the beginning and re-download the package and possibly restart Unity itself. But what we want is under the models folder, and we have all of these. First thing we're going to want to do is delete them all, because we're going to be uploading our own models here. And actually, before we do that, let's go back over to our prefabs over here. Click on this, and up here it'll say layers. Click that, go to add layers, and for layer 8, you're going to want logic, make sure it's capitalized. And for layer 13, you'll want item. And then up here where it says tags, it'll already have it all set up for you. So then now what we want to do is get our model from Blender over into Unturned or into Unity. So I'm going to teach you a couple of early mistakes that I made when going through this. For one, this thing does not have the correct origin set. There are many ways to set the origin and many recommendations for it, but I found the best method works is if you go into wireframe, you go just above your trigger or a little bit in front of it, like right maybe there. Go to your 3D cursor location and set the X to 0 so that way it's in the center of the model. And then tools, set origin to 3D cursor. This determines where the unturned character holds the gun with the right hand. And so this will be essential for getting everything to look right. If I still had it over here, the gun would be shifted down about, I want to say, 2 feet in your hand, and it would look really awkward. So this will just help get everything all straight. So the other thing that I want to show you is when you're exporting these things, sometimes it'll turn out flawlessly, sometimes it will not. So when you export it to desktop, like I did here, and you put it in Unity, if you'll notice, when I click out of that, this thing does not look right at all. When I click the little side arrow here, that means it had a scaling and rotation issue. So what you need to do is first delete it from Unity. I'm going to go ahead and delete the materials as well. And if you notice, I dropped that in my models, items, and then guns folder here. So we'll go back over to Blender. And what you'll want to do is make sure your whole object is selected. Let me do that quick. And then hit Control A. Hit Rotation and Scale. Control A again. All transforms to delta. And then Visual Geometry to Mesh. And that'll make sure that everything looks and spins right in Unity. Now, if doing that process messed up your model, you might need to play with your model a little bit to get it looking back to how it was before. I've had to do stuff like that before, and it's really annoying. So let's go ahead and re-export it back out to desktop. Go ahead and put it in Unity. And there we go. It looks correct. So now we'll need to grab our texture, and I use the realistic texture here for my Fallout mods. And this part is basically done. Wait, first we need to set the animation type to legacy, and then don't import. We need to go to animations, uncheck that box, apply. We need to go to our model, and then don't import materials. Next, we'll go down to where our prefabs were and make sure that now our layers and our tags say item for the item prefab. In the animations, it says logic and logic. That's how you know you set it up correctly. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take this thing, click and drag into the center here, and you'll notice it's just a box, and that's because we deleted the Zubeknikov model already. So we'll go into a side profile view like this, and you'll notice we'll have our model 0, model 1, sites, and everything else. So what I like to do is I like to set the position to 0, 0, and 0, just to make sure everything is aligned properly. And if we checked all this, it should have followed suit. Except for the tactical. The tactical can stay adjacent, because that's on the side of the gun. Magazine, ejection port, etc., etc. So now we'll go ahead and move our model in. So we'll hold down Control, select Model 0 and Model 1, and this little cube thing that we dragged out here, drag and drop it into the mesh filter over here. And you'll notice our gun has just appeared, but it's pink. That's fine. We'll worry about that later. Now we'll want to cross-reference this green box with how our model looks, and we want to scale it so it's proper. You can do this in Blender, but by importing the animations, if we go back to our tools thing, our animations prefab, do not know why it's doing that. The animations.blend. I don't know if you can see that, but that is your Blender file, where it'll spawn a realistic character for you to use for your scaling. Or a model of an Unturned character that you can use to scale your models to. But I like using Unity because it's simpler and you don't have to re-import. But anyway, we need to get this model to fit the green box. So I'm going to go ahead and change the scale factor to 15. That should do it. Maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe 20. That'll do. Then we'll just go and check the sides here. Alright, so then to fix your texture, select your model score under 0, drag and drop your texture onto your model itself, and then select your underscore 1 and do the same thing. And now it looks properly in Unity. Bouncing around here, let's go ahead and change the dimensions of our green box collider. So we'll go ahead and hit the edit collider, and we'll drag these arrows over until we've got a basic shape of our gun. And then we'll hit recalculate bounds and then recalculate light map. Now we'll want to change where the sights go. So for an 8x scope, it's kind of set up a little differently. In that even though my sight is right here, the 8x will appear somewhere in front over here. And you'll find that as you work with iron sights for specific guns, the way that Nelson has them set is different than for each gun. So just be mindful of that, and be sure to try out all of your attachments first, like your red dot sight, your 8x scope, 7x, chevron, all that stuff before you officially release the mod, because it is way easier to fix bugs than it is to go back and correct it later on. So what I'm doing here is I am changing these child modifiers. So you've got the sight, I've changed that so it's over the gun, tactical, which is on the side here, the barrel, which is over here, the magazine. Magazine's can be a little finicky, but I think I want mine right here. The ejection port, I'll move that down here. The icon. And for this, what I normally do is I add a camera component and then use this side arrow here to go to the side. And just kind of change it so this little camera roughly lines up with the center of the gun. And then once you're done with that, make sure you remove it. Otherwise you'll bug out Unturned, and bugging out Unturned is never fun. So then the grip, put that right there. Alright, let's talk about sounds for a moment. If you notice, I have the standard Zubeknikov sounds that Nelson was nice enough to give us, but you can upload your own sounds. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to upload my own sounds. I'm going to let you do that, but what I want you to do is that when you do upload them to Unity, force them to mono, and make sure they're always a .wav file, otherwise the sound will not register in game. So again, that's a .wav file for your sounds, and force it to mono. Alright, so now that we're done with putting the sight, the tactical, barrel, magazine, ejection, icon, and the grip. We'll take this item, we'll drag and drop it, and replace it with our item blue cube prefab here. And if you notice, our model just changed, or our prefab just changed, so it shows our model instead of this blue cube. And now we're done with the Unity portion. Well, kinda. Now we need to go over, and I have no idea what my desktop is doing that. So we'll go to guns. Again, this is located in your Steam apps, your common, unturned bundles. And for my gun, I want to model it off of the Timberwolf. So I'll go ahead and copy and paste that. And I'll rename it Fallout or FO _ sniper. Click into it, and come on. If anybody knows how to fix this, please let me know. So after you name your folder, you want to go in and change the name of the Timberwolf itself to FO _ sniper, or however you have your name. And then you want Notepad++ for editing this part. And I'm going to go ahead and just delete that and add a sniper rifle. And then for the actual stats of the gun, please do use your own IDs. Conflicting IDs are never fun. So the ID that I want to change this to is 7814. Actually 15. And then the GUID, go ahead and just delete the GUID. Then save. Alright. And now the only part is left to do is bundle. So now that we moved our item prefab and replaced it with the item down here, all we have to do is bundle. So click on our assets folder, go to window. Alright, first of all, go back out to this bigger assets folder, go to this assets folder, click on window, go to bundle tool, grab, and then bundle assets. Find where you had the gun, title it the same thing, and what I like to do is, just to make sure of myself, I like to title it .unity 3D, and then save it. And it'll take a little bit to export. And now we just launch Unturned. If it'll launch. So while this is loading, I want to talk about some of the other errors you might have. So when joining your object all as one, sometimes you'll notice, and here I will go ahead and make this an issue. There we go. So sometimes part of your model will turn out gray and discolored like this. What you'll want to do is select your entire object by hitting A and then Control N. Whoops. Make sure I'm not in edit mode. Yeah, you have to be in edit mode. And then you have to Control N. And that'll normalize your faces. If you don't do this, and you port this over into the Unity engine, Unity will flip those faces. And so they'll be invisible, which is never good. I think Unturned is almost done here. And we shall see if it worked. It's been a little while since I've set up Unity myself, so hoping I remember all the steps. Excellent. So let's go to single player, and my favorite thing is go to the miscellaneous, go to the destruction map. Make sure you have cheats enabled, obviously, and then 7815. And there we go. There's our gun. If you notice, it doesn't have any sounds right now. And that's because the files, for some reason, aren't AWAV, the ones that Nelson gave. So, let's go ahead and bug fix. If you notice, our model is a little too small. So let's go over to Unity, and we'll go ahead and turn up the scale. Make it, let's say 23. Let's see what that looks like. Cool. And then we'll fix our box collider. Calculate map. We gotta fix our sight. Tactical. Our barrel. Magazine. Ejection can stay the same. Icon can stay the same. Grip. Okay, so after every edit that you do up here, you need to replace your item prefab. So I'm going to click this. We'll drag it back down to our item prefab. Go to our assets, window, bundle tool, grab, bundle assets. And then we'll click on our Fallout sniper. And then something that not a lot of people know about, if you hit the page up button on your keyboard, it refreshes your mods for you. You don't have to restart Unturned or anything. It's also a lot easier to do these kind of mods when you don't have any workshop installed. Alright, 7518. Whoops. 7815. There we go. Now it's looking the proper size. Now, if you notice here, this is where we had set the origin originally, back in Blender. And this determines where your character holds it with his right hand. Obviously, he's not holding it exactly there. He's holding it a little behind, but that is how you work with that. Make it daytime. And let's see, we still have a little bit of bugs to fix with the magazine, but I think at this point, you guys know what to do. So, hopefully this guide helped illustrate how to do basic gun mods for Unturned. Again, there are 3 steps to this process. There is Blender. You need to do your proper things with the origin set, the rotation scale, all transforms to delta, and visual geometry to mesh. There's Unity, and once you get this thing set up, it's set up. You don't have to do anything else to it. And then finally, there's Unturned, which is mainly just bug fixing and making sure everything sounds right. So let's say I wanted to change this model so I can redo like another gun mod. All I have to do is just delete this and delete that, import a new image, change my rigs, my animations, and my materials, reapply them to my model _0, model score under 1, and then drag and drop this prefab and replace it with the one that I had before. And that's all you need to do. Hopefully you found this guide somewhat helpful. Yeah, take care.